Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the City of Oxnard Planning Commission for Thursday, June 6, 2024. This meeting will come to order at 6 p.m. The public may view the meeting from home
in progress
on the city's website, Spectrum Channel 10, Frontier Channel 35, or on the city's YouTube website. To participate in the meeting, the public may provide comments to the Planning Commission via email at planning@oxnard.org no later than 3 p.m. on the day of the meeting, or through the city's website at oxnard.org/city-meetings, or call the Planning Division office. Additionally, those wishing to speak can dial the phone number listed at the bottom of the screen, follow the instructions to access the meeting, and press *9 to raise your hand, indicating your intention to speak on the agenda item being discussed. Madam Secretary, can we please have the roll call?
Chair Arejo.
Here.
Vice Chair Dr. Stewart.
Present.
Commissioner Dr. Lopez.
Here, thank you.
Commissioner Connolly. Here, thank you. Commissioner Nash.
Present.
Commissioner Zielsdorf. Present. Commissioner Schulke.
Present.
We have a quorum.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. We will now move on to the Pledge of Allegiance. Vice Chair Dr. Stewart, will you kindly lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Everybody please rise. Put your right hand over your heart.
Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You may be seated.
Thank you, Vice Chair Dr. Stewart. The next agenda item is C, public comments on items not on the agenda. At this time, a person may address the Planning Commission on matters within the jurisdiction of the Planning Commission, including information, consent items, and any time not appearing on the agenda. The Planning Commission cannot take action on any item presented during public comments that is not on the agenda, and such item may only be referred to the Commission Secretary. Persons wishing to speak on public hearing items should do so at the time of the public hearing. Madam Secretary, are there any public comments for items not on the agenda?
No, Chair, there are none.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. The next agenda item is D, consent agenda. At this time, I'd like to clear up some confusion with voting, more specifically with how one can vote on any matter before the Planning Commission, partially correct a misstatement of mine, and partially regarding an assumption that most of us have had. If you are present at a meeting, you can vote in 3 ways: in favor with an aye or yes, against with a nay or no, or abstain. You are not required to explain why you are going to vote that way prior to voting. Additionally, I would caution against explaining your vote while you are announcing it. First, it breaks a rule of when and possibly how many times that you can deliberate on a motion. Second, it disallows other members from responding with their own deliberation or a possible proposed motion. For a recusal vote, this is automatic when you are unable to engage in the agenda item for a variety of reasons and is usually announced during the ex parte declaration section of the agenda. Please contact Mr. Rozelle at your earliest opportunity if you believe that you may have a conflict of interest that prevents your engagement in the public hearing item. Specifically, with respect to minutes, there has been an assumption that if you were absent at a previous meeting, you should abstain at the meeting at which it is presented for approval. However, I would informally recommend that the default position regarding the approval of the minutes is to vote in favor of their approval unless there is a reason that they should otherwise not be. For example, a correction was proposed but not accepted by the Commission, and so you could vote against or abstain on the vote to approve the minutes. I'll refer the Commission to our parliamentary authority of Robert's Rules of Order newly revised, Section 41, Order of Business, Paragraph 11. Quote, it should be noted that a member's absence from the meeting for which minutes are being approved does not prevent the member from participating in their correction or approval, end quote. Are there any questions at this time? As always, if you have any questions during the meeting, just raise a point of information or ask whomever is in the position of chair when you have the floor. Thank you all. Moving on to D1, February 15, 2024 minutes. Are there any corrections to the minutes as distributed? Seeing and hearing none, a motion to approve is in order.
I'll move to approve the minutes as presented.
Motion to approve by Vice Chair Dr. Stewart. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Dr. Lopez. Any deliberation? Seeing and hearing none, Madam Secretary, can we have the roll call, please?
Vice Chair, Dr. Stewart.
Yes.
Commissioner, Dr. Lopez.
Yes.
Commissioner Connolly.
Yes.
Commissioner Nash.
Aye.
Commissioner Zielsdorf. Commissioner Schulke.
Aye.
Chair Arejo.
Aye.
This motion passes.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. The next is Section E, ex parte declarations for public hearing items. Please state any ex parte declarations, if any. I'll go across the dais. Commissioner Zielsdorf.
I don't have any. Oh, that's what I can announce it? Oh, okay. So I'll be recusing myself on the Auto Center proposal, yeah. Due to, because I work for the Auto Center, not for the Auto Center Mall, but I work for Lexus off of Oxnard that is at the Auto Center.
Thank you, Commissioner Zielsdorf. Commissioner Connolly.
None, Chair, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Dr. Lopez.
I'll be recusing myself from item 4 out of potential or to avoid any potential or real conflict of interest with that item.
Thank you, Commissioner Dr. Lopez. Vice Chair Dr. Stewart.
None, thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner Nash.
No, thank you.
Thank you, and Commissioner Schulke.
None, thank you.
Thank you. And for myself, regarding agenda item F3, before it was agendized, I was contacted by a representative of the project, but there was no discussion of the project details. After it was agendized, I had a brief conversation with a representative. Neither interaction has affected my ability to deliberate on the item and come to a fair and impartial decision. Thank you all. The next agenda item is F1, 2030 General Plan and Local Coastal Plan Conformity Determination for the City of Oxnard, Revised Capital Improvement Program fiscal years 25 to 29. The Planning Commission will review the CIP for fiscal years 25 through 29 to confirm they are in conformance with the City of Oxnard 2030 General Plan and relevant coastal land use plan policies pursuant to Section 65401 of the Government Code. The CIP includes a range of roadway improvements, maintenance of public facilities, stormwater drainage improvements, and other miscellaneous projects. The new proposed CIP projects are located throughout the City of Oxnard and vary in scope and funding, filed by the City of Oxnard Public Works Department, City Staff Morgan Kessler, City Engineer Joe Pearson, Planning and Environmental Services Manager. Per Measure M, a staff presentation has been pre-recorded and the link has been posted to YouTube. Per previously approved standing rules, staff can provide a brief summary of the pre-recorded presentation in addition to other analysis at this time. Staff, Mr. Kessler.
Yes.
Thank you. You have as much time as you may consume, please.
Okay. Good evening, Chair Arejo and Commissioners. I'm Morgan Kessler, City Engineer for the City of Oxnard. And what you have before you tonight is, finding the, you have your council recommendations or your commission recommendations regarding the 2025 to 2029 capital improvement program. This program is a running 5-year program where we keep the city's capital or major projects. We have project pages for each of them, and we also within these project pages show how much money is programmed towards these. There's a brief description of the projects and over what fiscal years we intend to spend the money for those projects. Under normal circumstances, this body would have seen and considered the CIP before it went to City Council. Because of this body's meeting was continued until tonight, we proceeded under direction from City Council to have the City Council for the City of Oxnard review the CIP this past Tuesday. They reviewed it, deliberated it, gave council direction on kind of rearranging two projects in terms of project priority, and otherwise approved staff's recommendations on it. So in your council packet, you will, or your commission packet, sorry, you'll see that the big difference with this cycle of the CIP is we're adding 32 new projects. They're listed in your report. And the direction council gave us Tuesday night was to take two previously unfunded projects in the CIP document and move them to basically priority positions. One of them had to do with a kind of a facilities planning study for the police department's buildings, and the other had to do with some lighting, a lighting improvement project for the South Oxnard Library. So with that, I'm here to answer any questions you might have about the this year's CIP revision. I have my Public Works Administrative Supervisor with me, Lauren Bueling. She played a big role in compiling all the projects for this year, and has been a big help. So she's here to answer questions as well. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kessler. At this time, we'll have members ask questions of staff. Commission. Commissioner Nash.
Thank you. I submitted some questions and I had them answered, so I want to thank staff for that. My only comment is when you're digitally formatting this to increase the font, and I'm not asking you to print out more pages, but especially in the digital version to make it larger, because it was difficult to. You can increase the magnification, but then you're only capturing a portion of the page, so it's awkward. So that would be my only request on this.
Thank you. That's excellent input. For myself, I think I have plus 3.5 magnification on my glasses. Now, it's to address your comment. This year, we had to switch basically the system software that we create the CIP with. We're now using a platform that's used for other, particularly budgetary stuff within the city. It's called OpenGov. And we had to essentially recreate the CIP document from what's been done in the past. We could certainly increase the font for the printed version, and we'll have an online version as well that, you're able to magnify within the system. So. Thank you.
I am very sympathetic.
Yes.
Thank you, Commissioner Nash. Any others from the commission? Vice Chair Dr. Stewart.
Yes, I really don't have a question because you kind of answered it during your presentation. And I had a second one that really, my concern was of the 32 there and the priority that they have. In our review, that is not something that we need to be concerned about. We're just making sure that it's compliant with the 2030 plan. So
Excellent.
That was it for me.
Thank you, Vice Chair Dr. Stewart. Any others from the commission? One from me, Mr. Kessler. In regards to numbers 2 and 20, those are the only ones with amounts on the previous. Those are new already, or they're here before the Planning Commission, but they're already in progress. Am I correct? Or they just been allocated and the funds to be encumbered or expended at a later time?
To my understanding, the Carnegie Art Museum seismic study, it's being done in phases, and this is kind of for a second phase of it. For Project 20, I'm pretty sure that has not started yet. I'll let Lauren kind of elaborate. Bard Road corridor, no, the Bard Road corridor.
No, it hasn't started yet.
Yeah, no.
But I think Grant Bridge is.
Yeah. Yeah, the Project 20 Bard Road corridor bicycle and pedestrian improvements has not started yet.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Kessler. And a follow-up onto number 20. Is this separate from the mayor's initiative in regards to having sign or city monuments or signs to the entrance or major entrances of Oxnard?
It's a separate project.
Okay, thank you very much. Seeing no further questions from the Planning Commission, we'll move on to public comment. Madam Secretary, is there any public comment?
No, Chair, there are none.
Thank you very much. Are there any closing remarks from staff?
No, thank you for your consideration.
Thank you very much. The public hearing is closed. We will now move on to the deliberation. Commission. Commissioner Dr. Lopez.
Just a couple comments. First, it's great to see that we have more funded projects, 124, than unfunded 61 at this time, including the addition of 32 new projects. I think just even a couple of years ago, that would not have been the case. And so it's a great promising sign for Oxnard and the great work that everyone's doing. And then my second comment is to you and staff. Lauren here, I'm not sure if you were already with staff back in 2021. I think that's when the larger document last came before us, and I made it a point to recognize staff because just the volume of work to pull something like that together, it really is a privilege and an honor to thank you both in person.
Thank you, Commissioner Dr. Lopez. Any others from the commission? Seeing no further deliberation from commission, a motion, Commissioner Nash.
I'll make the motion to approve the recommended action.
Thank you. It has been moved by Commissioner Nash to find the revised capital improvement projects for fiscal year 25 through 29, not a project under CEQA pursuant to sections 15601B3 and 15378B4, and adopt resolution 2024-XX finding that the proposed additional capital improvement program projects for fiscal years 25 to 29 are in conformance with the City of Oxnard 2030 General Plan and relevant coastal land use plan policies pursuant to section 65401 of the Government Code. Is there a second? Seconded by Commissioner Dr. Lopez. Is there any further deliberation on the motion before us? Seeing and hearing none, Madam Secretary, can we have the roll call, please?
Commissioner Nash,
Aye.
Commissioner Dr. Lopez,
Aye, thank you.
Commissioner Connolly,
Yes, thank you.
Commissioner Zielsdorf,
Aye.
Commissioner Scholke,
Aye.
Vice Chair Dr. Stewart,
Yes.
Chair Arejo.
Aye.
This motion passes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We'll now move on to agenda item F2, 2310 Saviors Apartments, Planning and Zoning Permit Number PZ 18-500-09, Special Use Permit, property located at 2310 Saviors Road, a request for a special use permit to demolish a 928 square foot detached garage for the construction
Good evening,
of.
Planning Commissioners. The project before you tonight is for PZ 18-500-09.
Sorry,
A
Melinda?
special use permit at 2310 Saviors
oh.
Road. The project involves the demolition of a 928 square foot detached
This is Chair Araujo. If you
and
could
for
please
the
pause.
replacement of it, the construction of a two-story, 2,742 square foot dwelling unit consisting of 4 bedrooms and garages that can accommodate up to 5 cars.
This is Chair Araujo. If you hear me, if you could please pause.
By the orange circle, it's located northeast of Saviors Road and Laurel Street in the central part of the city. Here are some street views of the property. The image on the left is
Thank you. Apologize for that. Mr. Pearson, do we?
Yeah, sorry. It appears that the pre-recording started playing,
Gotcha.
and so that's what it was. She
Okay.
actually has been talking right now, but I believe she's on the call.
Thank you. Apologize to all. I'll start in the middle. A request for a SUP to demolish a 928 square foot detached garage for the construction of a two-story, 2742 square foot dwelling unit consisting of 4 bedrooms and garages able to accommodate 5 cars on a 16,700 square foot lot, and for the construction of a new retaining wall located at the front property line. The resulting property will consist of a total of 3 units and a total of 6 garage spaces. The project is exempt from environmental review pursuant to section 15303, new construction or conversion of small structures of the CEQA guidelines filed by Anthony Benavides on behalf of property owner King Investment LLC. City staff Melinda Lim, contract planner Joe Pearson, Planning and Environmental Services Manager. Per Measure M, a staff presentation has been pre-recorded and the link has been posted to YouTube. Per previously approved standing rules, staff can provide a brief summary of the pre-recorded presentation in addition to other analysis at this time. Staff.
So I
Good
will.
evening, members of the commission. So this project, as you stated, is a special use permit to demolish an existing garage and for the construction of a 2-story house. We did receive a public comment from a Victor Tenorio, and he had concerns regarding parking, traffic, and the lack of care by investors in that neighborhood. He also had provided comments previously at the previous planning commission meeting, which was continued to this meeting. And those were provided to the commission for your review. And the property owner and applicant are here as well to answer any question that the commission may have.
Thank you, Ms. Lim. At this time, if the applicant is present, if you have a presentation, seeing, you have 15 minutes. Please begin.
How you doing? My name's Norman Sarles. I'm with King Enterprises. What we're doing is we're trying to provide shelter for recovering alcoholics and drug addicts. Okay, I have a strict program. You know, they have to attend, AA meetings. They have to, a 12-step program. It's just to help this, the city. Trying to get them off the street, because that's where they're most vulnerable. I am too a recovering alcoholic. And I remember I had to do it on the street and it was very hard. But now I'm a full-time employee, a superintendent in the city of Santa Barbara. And I just knew what it takes and I wanted to offer back to them. My program is very straightforward and it helps them. And by adding this house, it's going to help, take these guys off the street.
Okay, thank you very much, sir.
You're welcome.
At this time, members may ask questions of either the applicant and or staff. Before or during your questions, if you could just please state who you're directing them towards. Commission. Vice Chair Dr. Stewart.
Yes, so is it just the new construction or is all of that construction part of your rehabilitation program?
Yes. I have the other 2 houses.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And those are also part of it too?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Vice Chair Dr. Stewart. Any others from the commission? I had one of staff. I'm a little bit surprised because I was thinking that this would be a normal-ish residential place. And I'm assuming that the activities that he is mentioning falls under whatever guidelines that we have in regards to this, or should not even be considered by us for planning commission purposes.
So, Chair Arroyo, in regards to the use, that is not part of what's being considered here. What's being considered here is simply the construction of the additional unit. The uses would fall under the other applicable regulations of the city of Oxnard's code. So, yeah, the project before the commission is simply the addition of this additional unit at this property.
Thank you, Mr. President. Commissioner Nash.
Thank you, Chair. So I submitted some questions to the staff, and they answered them, and I just want to briefly go over them and see if I have an understanding of what they tried to tell me. So this is not an ADU. There might have been some confusion reading the staff report, because I think they might have mentioned it once. So this isn't an ADU. The zoning and general plan allow for up to 18 units per acre based on the zoning and the property size. They would be allowed to have up to 66 units on site, not counting any potential ADUs. Now, how many ADUs could they put on this site in addition to the 6 units? I think that would be my question.
So, Commissioner Nash, based on what's currently there and based on current ADU regulations, they could potentially add 3 additional units on site. Only 2 of those could be what would be called like new construction, and then 1 of those would have to be conversion of existing non-habitable space, such as a garage or carport or something along those lines.
So is that 6 plus 3 or 3 plus 3?
That's 6 plus 3.
So this parcel could have up to nine units of housing on it.
If you included the ADUs, but right now they're only proposing the 3 units on the property. But like you mentioned, they could have up to 6 under just the C2 or the general commercial, which allows up to 18 units per acre on commercial property subject to a SUP, which is why the project is before the commission.
And basically, all residential parcels within the city can build an ADU, correct?
Yes, Commissioner Nash, any property that actually has a residential use on the site, even if it is not necessarily zoned residential, can add an ADU.
Okay, I think that's important for the public to understand that, you know, this isn't a zoning regulation that is specific to South Oxnard. Anywhere in the city, they just have to approach the planning department and get a permit for it. So, okay, that is really all I had. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner Nash. Any others from the commission at this time? Thank you. Seeing and hearing none, we'll go on to public comment. Madam Secretary, is there any public comment?
No, Chair, there are no comments.
Thank you very much. Are there any closing remarks from staff?
Sorry, no additional comments from staff.
Thank you. The public hearing is now closed. We will now move on to deliberation. Commission. If there's no deliberation, motion is in order.
I'll move the recommended action.
It has been moved by Vice Chair Dr. Stewart that the project to be categorically exempt from environmental review pursuant to CEQA Guidelines Section 15303, new construction or conversion of small structures, and adopt Resolution 2024-XX approving planning and zoning permit number PZ 18-500-09, special use permit subject to certain findings and conditions. Is there a second on the motion?
Second, Chair.
Seconded by Commissioner Connolly. Any deliberation on the motion before us? Seeing and hearing none, Madam Secretary, can we have the roll call, please?
Vice Chair, Dr. Stewart.
Yes.
Commissioner Connolly.
Yes.
Commissioner Dr. Lopez.
Yes.
Commissioner Nash.
Aye.
Commissioner Zielsdorf.
Aye.
Commissioner Scholke.
Aye.
Chair Arejo,
Aye.
this motion passes.
Thank you. Before we move on to agenda item F3, we will allow Commissioner Zilsdorf to remove herself from the Planning Commission, and we'll bring her back at the next agenda item. Thank you. Moving on to agenda item F3, Auto Center sign modification. Planning and zoning permit number 24-550-01, major modification, property located at 1740 East Ventura Boulevard, APN 144-0-134-095, a request for a major modification permit to modify the Oxnard Auto Center freeway sign. The text of Oxnard Auto Center will be reduced from 231 square feet to 178 square feet per sign frontage, and the digital display will be enlarged from 552 to 672 square feet. The total signage area for each side of the freeway sign will be 850 square feet for an overall total of 1,700 square feet. No changes are proposed for the height or size of the monument sign structure. The project is exempt from environmental review pursuant to Section 15301, existing facilities, and Section 15311A, on-premise signs of the CEQA guidelines. The project site is located within the Rose Santa Clara Corridor specific plan and designated as Auto Sales and Service, filed by George Seltzler of Claremont, city staff Melinda Lim, contract planner Joe Pearson, planning and environmental services manager. Per Measure M, a staff presentation has been pre-recorded and the link has been posted to YouTube. Per previously approved standing rules, staff can provide a brief summary of the pre-recorded presentation in addition to other analysis at this time. Ms. Lim.
Thank you, Chair. So this project doesn't propose any changes to the structure or the height of the existing monument sign. The letters of Oxnard Auto Center will be decreased, and then the electric board area will be increased. These changes to the signs are within the permitted parameters that are in the specific plan. For this project, we did not receive any public comments, and the applicant is in attendance to answer any question that the commission may have.
Thank you, Ms. Lim. We'll move on to the applicant. If they're present at this time, they have 15 minutes. Hello, sir. If you could just introduce yourself, and you have 15 minutes, and you can begin.
Sure. And I'll quickly ask if Diego can bring up the applicant's presentation.
Okay, good. Okay, great. Hello, my name is George Selzler. I'm the owner of Electrovision Advertising. Good evening. City of Oxnard Planning Commission, it is my pleasure to present to you our Oxnard Auto Center freeway sign refresh. Why are we here tonight? Our digital sign is past its service life. Lately, the sign has been failing more frequently, and it's become very difficult to keep the sign looking great. Before I show you the proposed sign refresh, I would like to explain the history of the sign. Back in 1986, the City Council approved a 45-foot tall, 300 square foot per side sign. Then in 2000, the City Council approved a 74-foot high sign and 850 square feet per side. Whoops. The Auto Center built this, 70 feet high and 724 square feet per side. The Oxnard channel letters on top, then a digital sign in the middle, and then a tri-vision board below, as you can see. This worked great for almost 10 years. Then it too passed its service life. Then in 2012, the planning department approved removing the tri-vision board and increasing the size of the digital display. As you can see here, the size increased. You can see that the Oxnard Auto Center channel letters remain the same. The tri-vision board was removed. The digital sign took its place. So if you look back, there's what it was before with the digital sign, and then the digital sign replaced. Then in 2013, the planning department approved changing the channel letters at the top of the sign to reflect a font that resembled the city of Oxnard's, as you can see here. So that, as it was before, we had the old style, and we changed it to look more like the city of Oxnard's font. 11 years later, we are asking the city to allow us to refresh our freeway sign once again. This time, we are asking for a modest decrease in the Oxnard Auto Center channel letters and a modest increase in the digital sign height, as you can see. We're proposing a 3-foot, 8-inch high increase in the digital sign display from 17 feet high to 20 feet, 8 inches, which is less than 4 feet. Advertising is everything to the Oxnard Auto Center dealerships. Digital signs are absolutely necessary to survive, especially when the 101 freeway, their front door market, is blocked. Then this sign becomes the only way that they can reach those potential buyers, the only way. With this type of sign, 14 franchises can showcase their products and services. Without it, they'll look elsewhere, like Ventura, Thousand Oaks, and beyond. The Oxnard Auto Center has always been a strong partner with the city. And today we need your help reaching our full potential. This sign is a big part of that. The sign refresh and upgrade will keep this valuable community asset effective for the next 10 years. This shows you the side-by-side comparison between the existing and the proposed. As an example, you can see the benefits of allowing the modest increase in digital sign height. More specifically, we would now be able to emphasize the individual dealer more clearly. Also, the sign now looks balanced. You see, when you change that, it all looks proportioned, and it is worthy of your support. I'd like to introduce Hugh McManigal.
Good evening, Chair and Commissioners and staff. Thank you very much for letting me speak here tonight. I'm Hugh McManigal. I've worked with the Oxnard Auto Center for a long time now. In fact, I was around when we built that original sign. I helped shepherd that through the city 23 years ago. Time really flies, I'll tell you. But as you're aware, the Auto Center sign is aging, and the electronic display unit in the sign is in need of imminent repair and replacement. This will be only our second replacement in 23 years. We replaced it, like George said, 11 years ago, and each replacement so far has been purposeful and a purposeful upgrade. So to recap, in an effort to improve the aesthetics and the efficiency of the sign, we'd like to take this opportunity, since it has to be it needs to be replaced anyway, to utilize the sign's current structure and expand the display area while staying well within the guidelines of modification. So filling in the bottom space there is going to make it look better, as George has said, and kind of fulfill what the original sign could have looked like all those years ago. It was very expensive to do this then. And it's become a little bit more affordable now, and the dealers are ready to make that investment. So this change is something we worked with the city and the planning department for the past 10 months, and it is supported by staff. So, and as George said, what we're really talking about here is a 4-foot increase to the bottom of the sign and to the unit. This will give our dealers more adequate area to feature their dealerships' products and offers. And as you can see there, it gives a dealership an opportunity to feature their name of the dealership and still have more area for their products and offers, like we said. There are many reasons to upgrade and why this upgrade is important to you and to us and to the city. And one reason is, as George stated again, this is home to 14 franchises. And some of these dealerships have been around for 35 years since the Auto Center opened, and they've been good stewards, I would say. The hard fact is that you can't see our dealers, any of our dealers, from the freeway. That's important because you can see the other two dealers, the ones to the north and to the south, Ventura and Thousand Oaks. That means this one sign is doing the work of 14 dealerships, and to let the world know that the Oxnard Auto Center is here. It has the vehicles that our customers are looking for, so that's what this sign does. The Auto Center employs over 650 men and women who count on us to do our best to market the Auto Center and to bring business to the Auto Center so they can make a living and do their best to raise their families. These are good paying jobs and careers, and they're best kept in Oxnard, as we could all agree. And you might remember the Oxnard Auto Center is a top sales tax revenue generator for the city. I think that's important to state as well. So the fact is, I'll be real brief here, the fact is we are in direct competition with the Ventura Auto Center and the Thousand Oaks Auto Mall. Again, both you can see those dealerships from the freeway. And that's not to mention the LA influence. We're in the LA ADI area of dominant influence. The Los Angeles area dealers market to our market through TV, radio, digitally. So we need to be competitive. And speaking of the Ventura Auto Center, we talked about our square footage. The square footage of their sign is 1,200 square feet. Now, don't get me wrong. And it's basically what they have is just a mega billboard on a pole. And it's 70% bigger than ours. But ours always has and always will look better than theirs. You know, we've got some style here. So the Oxnard Auto Center and the city, we've been strong partners over these past 3 decades. We've depended on each other through the good times and the bad times, and we've always worked together and supported each other. So it's our hope that we will continue to be successful with each other. And this upgraded and appropriate size sign is part of that continuation to keep us moving in the right direction. And it's worthy of your support, I believe. So thank you again for allowing me to speak. And are there any questions that I may be able to answer for any of you at this point?
Thank you both for the presentation. We'll move on to the next section where there might be questions. At this time, members may ask questions of both the applicant and or staff. Please state who you're directing your questions towards. Commissioner Dr. Lopez.
Just a quick question for staff. What makes this a major modification versus a minor? Like, what is the threshold given that the structure isn't increasing in size and there isn't, other than the screen?
So Commissioner Dr. Lopez, it has to do with the change from what is existing. So generally, if you're increasing something by a certain percentage, I think in this case, it's a little over 10%, then that's what triggers the major modification. Also, proximity to the freeway and the visibility of the sign also helps to trigger the need for the major modification. Sorry.
Great, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Dr. Lopez. Vice Chair Dr. Seward.
Yes, this is for the applicant. You know, you have a great communication platform, and you talk about being good stewards. You talk about being strong partners, and we know about the sign in Ventura, and we know that the collection also has a sign along the freeway. My question is this. With your communication tool, do you provide, other than your collective auto dealers, any opportunity for our community to advertise on your sign?
Well, with those two, you mentioned the 2 other signs. Though they sell that time on their signs. We don't sell the time on our side at all. The dealers jealously regard that sign is their calling card of the community. It's almost like our bottle of Coke bottle. You don't see them putting a lot of advertising and things on that. That's our calling card of the community. We do from time to time put some things up there, that are community-oriented, but for the most part, they sell theirs and we don't.
Okay.
We're an on-premise sign, and that's what that's what it's used for, and that's what those are the guidelines we stay within for the most part.
Thank you, understand.
Thank you, Vice Chair Dr. Stewart. Commissioner Nash.
Thank you, Chair. So to follow up on that question, I thought that I read in the staff report that you do air public service announcements on your sign, or not?
It's rare. We don't do it very often, but that's something that we've been doing it for 23 years, basically the same way. Like I said, we have one message. It's the auto center. It's the dealers. They're the ones paying to get to bring in dealerships, and we don't want to dilute it too much. So we've been operating under that for the past, like I said, 23 plus years.
I mean, it's always kind of been my belief that, and you state otherwise, I personally don't pay much attention to these signs, but I'm sure that you've done studies that, show that my belief is wrong. So I'm willing to accept that because the business community wants it. Okay. But I did not see anywhere that you where the hours of operation were listed. Do you run it 24 hours a day?
No, we don't run it 24 hours a day. We shut it off at midnight.
Okay.
And we start it up again at 5 a.m.
Okay, good. Because I was going to ask for that condition, but I would ask staff, do we need to condition that, or do we accept their statement that this is how they operate, and you'll continue to operate that way?
Excuse me?
And you'll continue to operate that way?
Absolutely. For a couple of reasons. One is the traffic on the freeway isn't as much. Two is the light. And an important part is it'll add a few years to the life of the board.
Right.
These boards normally don't last more than 7-8 years, and we've been getting 10 years out of them by shutting them off for that period of time. So it helps us.
Okay, great. Thank you for that, and that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you,
Just
Commissioner Nash. Mr. Pearson, yep.
Just to follow up on your question, in regards to the limitations, right now, there's not that limitation in there. If the commission wanted to include that as a condition, that is something that they could do. But at this point in time, it is up to the applicant to essentially shut it off at midnight and turn it back on at 5.
Okay, thank you. And Chair, I would like to include that condition of downtime from midnight to 5 a.m., which is what they're currently operating. So it shouldn't be a problem, but we just have it codified.
Okay. That will be in order during the deliberation.
Great.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Commissioner Nash. Thank you, Mr. Pearson. Commissioner Connolly.
I just have a quick question for the applicant, and forgive me if I missed this in your presentation. Is the signboard currently solar powered or strictly electric? No? Is that maybe a possible plan for the next revision?
We don't own the property.
Okay.
So we don't have the opportunity to have a sign that size, powered by some panels on the sign, for example, or something like that. It's not an option for us at this point.
Okay, thank you for the clarification.
Of course.
Thank you. A couple questions from me, first to staff, and then the second to applicant. The first will be, I think I asked, I'm not sure, the applicant can also answer this, but is there a difference in terms of the foot candles to what they currently have and to what is being proposed? And while you're thinking or looking for that, the second for the applicant is if this permit wasn't approved, would you still be using the current sign as is, or is it really you need it because it's going to stop working right away?
We need to replace the unit one way or the other.
The parts are not available after 10 years. We're at 11. So right now we're on borrowed time.
Okay, thank you very much. I'll go back to staff. If they need more time, I'll ask questions from, if there's any more questions from the commission while they look for that. Mr. Pearson.
And Chair Raheel, I'd also note that I believe the applicant's lighting engineer is also on the call, Roberto, so he might actually be able to answer that question the best. Roberto, if you can hear us, if you can chime in.
Yeah, sorry about that. Actually, I'm trying to put on my video. Give me 1 second.
Yes, Mr. Diaz, you can, oh, you're sideways, but I don't think we care, so. Either one, and while I'll just preface that I know, or at least I understand that the foot candles are under the maximum of the guidelines, I'd just like to know what, if any, difference there is of the current and the proposed. Thank you.
Yeah, actually, when it comes to our displays itself, it does have a built-in photo cell to regulate brightness. So you really won't be seeing a big difference, especially at night, because again, the photo cell would regulate it. So the main thing we want to pay attention in regards to brightness is during the nighttime, and that display would be very dim, probably the same or more dim than the current one. So yeah, to answer your question, it isn't going to be brighter or nothing like that.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Diaz. And one last for the applicant. Have there been any comments or complaints in regards to the sign's brightness? And if any, if you've done anything about it? I'm seeing a head shake no, but.
In 23 years, the answer is no.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Thank you very much. Any others on the commission before we go to public comment? Commissioner Schulke.
I just wanted to say how much I appreciate you all not proposing something along the lines of the eyesore in Ventura. So thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Schulke. Seeing no further questions for either the applicant or staff, we'll move on to public comment. Madam Secretary, is there any public comment?
No, Chair, there are no comments.
Thank you very much. Are there any closing remarks from staff?
Chair, there are no additional comments from staff.
Thank you. And now the public hearing is now closed. We will move on to the deliberation. Commissioner Connolly.
I want to speak in support of this and definitely second what Commissioner Schulke said. I believe our sign is a lot more attractive than our neighbors' signs. And I know a lot of times it's, we want to kind of play catch up and follow the lead of what other people are doing, but not only in regards to the tactfulness and the size that you guys are proposing, I also speak in support of the limited community ad space. I know it's a distraction for me sometimes when I see so many things going on, and obviously your studies have seconded that, so thank you. I do disagree with Commissioner Nash's condition of limiting the time. I would like to leave it in kind of control of the applicant, simply due to the fact if there was an emergency notification or something like that that needed to go out, I wouldn't want that to be limited, an Amber Alert or something, along those lines that in the middle of the night needed to get out to the public. So thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Connolly. Commissioner Dr. Lopez.
Thank you. I'm also speaking in support. I think just simply seeing that it's been 11 years since you all have come before us, we may not be able to incorporate, more green energy into the project itself, but we've made remarkable progress in 11 years with energy efficient light bulbs, and so I'm sure that will help all of us. Very much appreciate the photometric analysis that was included, and just to point out, as was included in the presentation, that the standards are consistent with the Outdoor Advertising Association of America. Didn't know they existed, but glad that they are consistent, and so happy to support also.
Thank you, Commissioner Dr. Lopez. Any others from the commission? Commissioner Nash.
Okay, thank you, Chair. So if I were to expand the condition to allow operation to broadcast public service announcements, would that be acceptable?
Commissioner Nash, I think at this time, deliberate, it's up to any other commissioners to respond. So I'm just going to have you continue, and we'll see what happens when the motion comes up. Thank you.
Have you made your comments on deliberations? Because I can make a motion if we're at that point.
It's up to every commissioner if they want to make a motion. We can still do deliberation after. So I'll leave it up to you, or if you want to wait.
Well, my mic is on, my mic is hot, so I'll go ahead and move the recommended action with the inclusion of a condition that we allow the sign to go dark from midnight to 5 a.m. With the exception of public service announcements that involve, natural disasters or what have you, so that sign would be available to use in that capacity. And we do have, we do have the sign at the collection, and we are getting some more digital billboards. So I think our capacity to inform the public via these digital billboards is sufficient, and this will only increase our capacity to inform the public.
Thank you, Commissioner Nash. Before I state formally the motion, I'm going to clarify the motion. The motion is to find the project to be category exempt from environmental review pursuant to CEQA guidelines section 15301 and section 15311A, and adopt resolution 2024-XX approving planning and zoning permit number 24-550-01, subject to certain findings and condition. And first, I'm going to ask Nash if he approves of my update, and I'm going to ask staff if they have a recommendation. Go back to Commissioner Nash and restate the motion again for the commission. My update to your amendment is to add a condition of approval that the sign will be off from midnight to 5 p.m. with the exception of emergency notifications. I'll go to Commissioner Nash first, and then I'll go to staff. Does that sound acceptable to you?
Yes.
Thank you. Staff, Mr. Pearson or Ms. Roselle?
Chair Rehaut, so yes, that is acceptable for us as well.
Thank you. I'll restate the motion before we vote on it, but I'm going to ask for a second on that motion, the recommended action as amended. Is there a second? Commissioner, thank you. Seconded by Commissioner Dr. Lopez. Is there any deliberation on the motion before us? Commissioner Conley.
I love to be going back and forth. The only reason I do disagree with that is just simply because they've been such good neighbors for all of these years. I hate to impose rules on top of rules on top of rules when someone has been such a great community member this far, especially when it comes to advertising that can be so bright and annoying and all of those wonderful things. I oppose it simply because I think we don't need to have additional rules to tie hands. So thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Conley. Commissioner Schulke.
Thank you, Chair. If I recall from the documents that were shared with us and my own time in that shopping area, I don't believe that the light would affect any residential areas, which would be my chief concern. There not being any, I don't know that I feel strongly about the proposal, but I just wanted to affirm that there aren't any residential spaces within the reach of the light. Is that correct?
So Commissioner Schulke, there's no immediate residential. It might be visible for some residential areas, but there's none in that immediate vicinity that would be impacted by the illumination of the sign directly.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Schulke. Any others from the commission? So in general, I'm going to support the recommended action from staff. However, I'm going to support Commissioner Conley's attempt to remove the condition of approval. Before I do that, I'm just going to say that this commission before kind of made new guidelines to basically prevent any other electronic billboards, overturned, of course, by the City Council. But, one of the main reasons is in regards to the lights, and so that was the reason for my questioning. I believe the foundation of the motion should be supported. But at this time, I'm going to move to amend the motion before us by removing the condition of approval, limiting from midnight to 5 p.m. with the exception of emergency notifications. Is there a second?
Chair, I would call a question on my motion first.
The motion has been stated by me. I'm going to wait until it's seconded or it falls to the ground. Is there a second on my amended motion or on my amendment?
Can you restate it for me?
Yes, I am moving to amend the motion before us by removing the condition of approval that adds the powering off of the sign from midnight to 5 p.m. with the exception of emergency notification. So I'm just asking for a second.
I'll second it.
Okay, seconded. The motion before us is on the amendment to remove the condition of approval in regards to turning off the sign from midnight to 5 p.m. with the exception of emergency notifications. Is there any deliberation on the motion before us? Commissioner Nash.
Just a question of how we proceed, because your motion would come to a vote before my motion?
Yes, Commissioner Nash. So the main motion was proposed. Amendments can be made on the main motion. So right now, we're just deliberating and possibly voting on the motion to remove that additional condition of approval on staff's recommendation. So right now, we're just talking about the amendment to remove the condition of approval that you added.
Right, but you're making an amendment to my amendment.
Commissioner Nash, your amendment was included in the main motion, so that's actually the main motion. The amendment that I'm making is removing that. There can actually be a further amendment on mine. So right now, we're just speaking on the amendment for the commission.
Okay, well, I'm not seeing the support for my motion, so I withdraw my motion.
Commissioner Conley, yes.
No, just point of order, right?
Yeah.
Wouldn't it just go to vote
Yeah.
and then?
I'm sorry, Commissioner Nash, you can't pull your motion because now it's in the body's approval. So if there's no further deliberation, we can vote on the amendment to remove the condition of approval. Seeing no further deliberation, Madam Secretary, can we have a vote on just the amendment to remove the condition of approval to turn off the sign from midnight to 5 p.m. with the exception of emergency notifications? Before I ask the Secretary to call the vote, is there any last questions? Seeing and hearing none, Madam Secretary, can you call the vote for the amendment? This is just on the amendment. Yes.
Okay, Chair Arejo,
Aye.
Vice Chair Stewart,
Yes.
Commissioner Lopez,
Yes.
Commissioner Connolly,
Yes.
Commissioner Nash.
Could you please read the motion to me?
I will do so, Madam Secretary. The motion before us is to move to amend the motion to remove the condition of approval, turning off the sign from midnight to 5 p.m. with the exception of the emergency notification. Basically, we're just removing that addition to the staff's recommendation. If the amendment is approved, we go back to staff's original recommended motion.
Too complicated, but I'll vote aye.
Commissioner Scholke.
Aye.
This motion passes.
Thank you. We will now move back to the motion as amended, which is staff's recommendation to find the project to be category exempt from environmental review pursuant to CEQA guidelines section 15301 and section 15311A, and adopt resolution 2024-XX approving planning and zoning permit number 24-550-01, subject to certain findings and conditions. Is there any deliberation on the amended motion before us?
So
Commissioner Dr. Lopez.
For point of clarification, this is still Commissioner Nash's motion, which has been amended, right? So
Yeah.
it's still on the initial, or are we needing to make the motion again?
No, we are now back to the motion as amended, which just happens to be staff's original recommendation to the Planning Commission.
Great, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Dr. Lopez. Any others from the commission? Commissioner Nash?
So the motion is to approve staff's recommendation.
That's correct, Commissioner Nash.
Thank you.
Thank you. Seeing and hearing no further deliberation from the commission, Madam Secretary, can we please have the roll call?
Commissioner Nash,
That would be aye.
Commissioner Lopez,
Aye.
Commissioner Connolly,
Yes, thank you.
Commissioner Schulke,
Aye.
Vice Chair Stewart,
Yes.
Chair Arejo.
Aye.
This motion passes.
Thank you very much. At this time, we'll stand at ease. We'll wait for Commissioner Dr. Lopez to go back and recuse himself, and if he wouldn't mind calling Commissioner Zilsdorf to come to the dais. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Thank you. We will now move on to agenda item F4, Solar Pacific Professional Development Planning and Zoning Permit number 23-500-05 and 22-300-02. Property located at 1750 Solar Drive, a request to construct a medical office complex consisting of 8 single-story buildings. The 8-building development will total approximately 40,000 square feet with building areas ranging from 3,008 and 8519 square feet. The project also includes the request for a tentative subdivision map proposed to subdivide the 3.69 acre site into 9 parcels and permit the individual sale of the 8 buildings that are proposed on separate lots within a commonly owned parcel. The project is exempt from environmental review pursuant to 15332 of the California Environmental Quality Act guidelines filed by Martin Teitelbaum, Agoura Hills, designated agent on behalf of Solar Pacific Investors, city staff, KANECA, Pompey, contract planner, Joe Pearson, planning and environmental services manager. Per Measure M, a staff presentation has been pre-recorded and the link has been posted to YouTube. Per previously approved standing rules, staff can provide a brief summary of the pre-recorded presentation in addition to other analysis at this time. Staff, Kaneka, you know what? If you could just please pronounce your first and last name for the record and for me. Thank you.
Hi, good evening, Chair and members of the Commission. My name is Kanika Pompey. I will be presenting on item F4. It is brought to your consideration tonight for the redevelopment of an existing surface parking lot into a medical and general professional office consisting of 8 individual buildings that would be sold individually, and then they will also have a common area for parking and pedestrian pathways. The applicant and the applicant team is here tonight to answer any questions you have, as well as staff.
Thank you, Ms. Pompey. We will now go on to the applicant, and if they are here, they have 15 minutes to present. Okay, I see the applicant or representative. When you come to the speaker phone, well, you have 15 minutes. Thank you.
Good evening. Thank you for your time this evening. My name is Martin Teitelbaum. I've been active in Oxnard as a developer since the mid-1980s. This project will constitute the 99 to 106 buildings that I have built in the city of Oxnard. We've done a similar project like this, 2 of them before, one at 1900 Outlet Center Drive to 1930, and following that, we built one of the, probably, I think it was the first project in the River Park specific plan. We built it contemporaneous with the collection back in 2009, and it's similar. These buildings are being placed on separate lots. They can be sold, or we oftentimes retain some and lease them. There's common area, there's a property owners association, And my office is the manager for the POA. We manage many POAs through my office. And this project offers an opportunity for small businesses to occupy their own building on its own distinctive lot. There is a lot of interest in the medical community to both purchase and or lease these buildings. We've parked it to support the medical use, and we already have quite a bit of interest from the medical community. There could be general office users here. And I would like to thank staff this evening for all their interaction and work with us to bring us to this hearing to date. And I'd be happy to answer any questions that you might have. And I have my architectural team here, and I have my broker here who can answer any market questions that you might have.
Thank you very much. At this time, members may ask questions of both the applicant and our staff. And as always, please state who you're directing your questions towards. Commissioner Nash.
Thank you, Chair. So I did ask a question about the stormwater detention basin, and the answer I received is that it will be an underground detention basin. Just as a point of interest, what capacity would that be? Because I'm not familiar with that setup at all. I don't know if anybody present can answer that question.
Unfortunately, my civil engineer is coming on a plane back from France at the moment, so I can't give you the precise quantity. I can tell you that we worked extensively with Tai Chow. We have a preliminary system that's been designed. We have done percolation tests. The site does perk, so we'll be able to send the stormwater back, I understand, back into the aquifer. And I believe it's located on the north side of the property, and I believe it's a proprietary system that's manufactured by Contact. I wish I could give you more specific detail.
I mean, it's not a vital point. I was, as I said, my own self-interest. I also had a question about the, you are providing EV parking spaces. Do you have any plans on putting in charging stations, or are you looking to partner with somebody?
I believe that then, and my architect can address this, that we are going to be providing EV stations, or just for future? Well, we'll have the power there, and we're going to be providing EV stations.
Okay, great, thank you. That's all, Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner Nass. Any others from the commission? So I just, I feel like some people think that, you know, that we might not need more commissioner buildings. I know that's not under our direct purview, but I believe you've done the analysis and you think that this is viable and efficient or good for the space here, that it's needed. What has been your market analysis of it, if you can tell us any?
Well, I'm somewhat of a known quantity after all these decades in Oxnard and Ventura County, and I have been contacted by a number of doctors who I have provided buildings to in the past who have a need to expand. We're talking to two such medical groups at the moment. Two of the buildings were specifically designed, one for a gastroenterology practice, another for an internal pulmonary practice, who also has a sleep center and also has an administrative component for billing. I do believe from the research I've done that the particularly medical space is a very hot part of the market now. And a lot of times you will say office and everybody goes, oh, that's toxic. You know, people are working from home, et cetera. And we do not feel that's the case. And the other thing that we learned coming out of the pandemic is that a lot of people simply do not want to be in buildings with cores, with elevators, with shared restrooms. They would like to be in their own building. And this offers them that opportunity to be housed within a structure that's exclusively theirs.
Thank you for that explanation. Half of that was new, and I think the public would appreciate all of that information. It just comes up in various public items and just in general. So thank you for that explanation. Any others from the commission at this time? Seeing and hearing none, Madam Secretary, is there any public comment?
Thank you.
Chair Rejo, there are none.
Thank you very much. Are there any closing remarks from staff?
There are none.
Thank you, Ms. Pompey. The public hearing is now closed. We will now move on to deliberation. Commission. Seeing no deliberation from commission, a motion is in order.
I will move the recommended action.
Vice Chair Dr. Stewart moves to find the project to be categorically exempt from environmental review pursuant to CEQA guidelines, section 15332, and adopt resolution 2024-XX recommending the City Council approve planning and zoning permit number 23-300-02, tentative tract map 6078, subject to certain findings and conditions, and adopt resolution 2024-XX approving planning and zoning permit number 23-500-05, special use permit subject to certain findings and conditions. Is there a second? Seconded by Commissioner Schulke. Thank you. Is there any deliberation on the motion before us? Seeing and hearing none, Madam Secretary, can we have the roll call, please?
Vice Chair Dr. Stewart,
Yes.
Commissioner Schulke,
Yes.
Commissioner Connolly,
Yes.
Commissioner Nash,
Aye.
Commissioner Zielsdorf, Chair Rejo.
Aye.
This motion passes.
Thank you very much. Congratulations. And we'll stand at ease while Commissioner okay, he's here already. We'll move on to agenda section G, study sessions reports. There is none. However, I'm going to make a brief statement based on a motion that was passed by the Planning Commission before us or at a previous meeting. I'd like to provide an update on how the Planning Commission will agendize selected topics for the remainder of this calendar year, starting as early as July. These topics were prioritized based on staff availability, commission preferences, and agenda compatibility. Updates of previous actions made by the commission will be made at least once a quarter with the progression of RENA numbers within these status updates. 3 items were identified as relevant and likely to appear for the commission. These topics will be highly prioritized to be presented as a study session. 1, types of alcohol permits. 2, accessory dwelling units, ADUs. And 3, water and conservation and usage of. However, due to timing issues, this topic will be brought up in conjunction with the Teal Club project to be brought before the commission likely by the end of this calendar year. Remaining items that may be included on the future agenda pending space and staffability are energy conservation, state mandates, city ordinances, solar-ready conservation, electric vehicles, etc. 2, fire department regulations, and 3, short-term rentals. 2 other topics have already been previously discussed in the past year. Those 2 are the food trucks and pop-up stalls. City Council has discussed this topic recently, and the Commission is directed to the video recording of that meeting. And 2, in regards to the local coastal program, there is a virtual presentation made via Zoom on Wednesday, May 22. And I believe a couple of us were there on the Zoom meeting. So I will be providing a status update on the Land Acknowledgement Bylaws Amendment and Planning Commission stipend proposal at a future meeting, most likely the next one scheduled later this month. Are there any questions at this time? Okay, thank you. We'll move on to Planning Commission business. Commission, what's your pleasure? Commissioner Dr. Lopez.
Just quick comment, great job as chair facilitating our meeting today. So just phenomenal job that I wanted to recognize. And let's see, there was a second item. I'll pause for now, see if it comes back to me.
Thank you, Commissioner Dr. Lopez. Appreciate that. Commissioner Nash.
Thank you, Chair. So first I want to apologize for my absence at the last Planning Commission meeting. It was pretty unprofessional, so that's not the way I operate. I hold myself to the highest standards. But it was a series of events that it's comical in hindsight. But I think the takeaway is if you are running late, which I was, very late, make a call to our chair. And that's the one thing that I didn't do and I should have done. So next time, of course, there won't be a next time, I will certainly make a phone call, and I'll have my phone with me. So, and I apologize to the staff and to the members of the audience who were inconvenienced. So thank you for that.
Thank you, Commissioner Nash. Appreciate that. I think that's just think of it that as a good example for the other commissioners. So we thank you for that. And unfortunately, it had to fall to you. So very much appreciated for you and for everyone's attendances. So thank you very much. Vice Chair Dr. Stewart.
Yes, I just wanted to welcome everyone to come to Plaza Park Saturday, June the 15th for Juneteenth celebration. So it is free, it's open to the public. There'll be food vendors, which isn't free, but we'll have the American Red Cross there for blood donation and music and a lot of other things, and everybody in the community is welcome. It starts at 10 o'clock and goes till 5 o'clock. So just wanted to put that welcome out there for Juneteenth celebration. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Chair Dr. Stewart. Any others from the commission? Seeing none, we'll move on to, Commissioner Dr. Lopez, did you remember?
I did, but I was
Okay.
going to let it go. I'll go ahead and just
No,
say it now
please.
since the mic is on and hot also. I was just going to say that, aside from just recognizing your job facilitating our meeting and as chair, is that second that, our meetings are super efficient, right? And so there are times where my mind is catching up with deliberation. And so I did want to just point out that one of the items today did, reveal new information that did at least provide for me a moment of pause. I'm not going to go further and say it was a point of concern, but nonetheless a point of pause for me, but nonetheless elected to support nonetheless. But just wanted to throw that out there.
Thank you very much, Commissioner Dr. Lopez. And I'd just say, in general, a couple of my comments today, especially the ones in regards to the minutes, were because of concerns brought by commissioners, current and present. And so if you have any concerns, especially on the procedural, the procedures of just how the commission is, please ask me just in regards to the Roberts Rules, everything legal. Please go to Ms. Roselle. But please, I do appreciate any of the criticism, praises, complaints, whatever you might have, because I don't want to hear them after my term. I'd like to hear them during or even right immediately after the meeting. So I appreciate all those who have told me before, and I'll try to strive to make it efficient, but also available to that you have the information to proceed as needed for our citizens, so our residents. Thank you very much. We'll move on to Vice Chair Dr. Stewart.
You talked about Robert's Rules of Order, and I think I know the basics, but your knowledge transcends all of that. And so I don't know if maybe a study session for that or perhaps a cheat sheet, because, when we sometimes go into those motions upon a motion and amendment to the motion, I have to, okay, what are we doing keeping up with that? And so it would just be nice to have, a deeper understanding.
Thank you for that recommendation, Vice Chair Dr. Stewart. I think at this time, I'm going to request a formal that, I know that we talked about study sheets, but if possible, if it's in the budget, I know that everyone had the ability to receive the full Roberts Rules of Order newly revised, but the cheaper version is the Roberts Rules of Order newly revised in brief. I actually bring that on vacation just to overview what I've done, because complacency can lead to you to some cutting the corners, and my goal is not to do that. So I do that as a request. If it's in the budget, it's cheaper than these ones. I think everyone should have the full one, but I actually read the in brief more than the full one. So if you could look at the chat, we can talk about that later. And thank you, Mr. Pearson. Okay, thank you very much. We'll go on to community development staff updates. Mr. Pearson.
Chair, Vice Chair, and Commissioners, not too many items. I just want to note that the forward development agreement, which was recommended by the Commission, was ultimately approved by City Council. So that is completed. And then the Casa Aliento map project, which is the conversion of the Vagabond on Oxnard Boulevard, the final map for that is scheduled to go to council on, I believe, June 18th. So just a few updates on those projects, and our meeting for June 20th is still pending, so I will inform the commission if we will have an item that meeting. And then if not, then the July 4th meeting is obviously canceled, and then we will have an item on July 18th.
Thank you, Mr. Pearson. It's been more than a couple of months. Ms. Roselle, do you have any updates on the legal front?
Other than the elections, nothing else, but very, very briefly, of course, we have 3 ballot measures for River Park, and so those are going to be before the City Council on the 18th. So lots of election issues coming up here soon, and we obviously have the mayor and 3 council seats up, as well as the city clerk and city treasurer. So it will be a very packed Oxnard portion of the ballot on November 5th.
Thank you very much, Ms. Roselle. Seeing no further updates, no last-minute questions or comments from commission, and if there's no further business, the meeting will be adjourned if there's no objection. Seeing and hearing no objection, the meeting is adjourned. Thank you all and good night.